People who still argue about whether or not what happened in Gaza was a genocide are beyond the pale. Forget the fact that Israel dropped 200,000 bombs. 200,000 bombs on the area that's 25 miles long and 5 or 7 miles wide. Okay? An area that wasn't evacuated because Egypt refused to help Israel get rid of the Palestinians, so they didn't allow them to evacuate. An area that was already considered one of the most crowded areas in the world, okay? Probably as crowded as New York or Tokyo. An area where half of the population, literally 1 million people out of the 2 million, were kids under the age of 18, okay? This is the place where Israel decided to drop 200,000 bombs. 200,000. Let that number sink in, okay? And these are not just any bombs. Some of these bombs were 5,000 pound bombs because at one point Biden so-called stopped sending the big bombs and started telling them to use the smaller bombs. And by big bombs, he meant 5,000 pounds bombs, okay? They went months where they would block all aid, all food, all medication, literally not a pen going in there. There were doctors who were reporting that they would sneak baby formula, put it in their bag, their personal bags, and the IDF would literally confiscate it. These are doctors from England, America, Doctors Without Borders. They were coming back and saying this. They would literally confiscate baby formula from the doctor's personal luggage. For 3 months, Ben Gvir was saying no food, just bombs. And this was already a year and a half into the genocide, okay? You mean to tell me in order to rescue however many hostages Israel had, it was worth destroying 80% of the Gaza Strip? It was worth killing over 20,000 kids under the age of what, 8 or 5? For what, 25 Israelis that were alive? How could that not be a genocide? And on top of it, we know that Israel has a big problem with Palestinians because they're trying to reduce the amount of Arabs that they have in their country so they can keep it a Jewish state. They are pretty much in a demographic war against the Palestinians' very existence. And you mean to tell me these people were doing all that, not intending to reduce the population in part or in whole? How can anybody still argue after 2 years that this was a war? Remind you, Hamas was using homemade rockets and IUDs, explosive devices. They don't have tanks, okay? They don't have planes. They don't have helicopters. They don't have rockets to talk about. Their rockets are like the very small rockets that barely ever get through because Israel has the Iron Dome. These were pretty much young men just sneaking around the terrain trying to catch an IDF soldier not paying attention and shooting him. That was the other side of the war, okay? They arrested thousands of people who had nothing to do with it, tortured these people. We saw how these people came out of jail. And people are still arguing that this wasn't a genocide. And that's one thing that I would never forgive Charlie Kirk for, is the fact that he spent years defending this. Even when we saw little kids under rubble, he would still get out there and defend this. And people would say, oh, but there is always collateral damage. Oh, but October 7th. Oh, but Hamas need to surrender. Okay, Hamas surrendered now. Are people still not dying? The other day they shot two little kids, an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, because they crossed some imaginary line. But I thought if Hamas surrendered and if Hamas returned the hostages, you were going to stop killing kids. What happened? And then on top of it, they had a storm in Gaza recently. I know you guys saw it. You saw these little kids using cups to try to get water out of the room. The tents being knocked over. And you know that Israel had blocked weatherproof tents. And you know why? Because they haven't received one dead body that they're still waiting for. One dead body was worth those kids that you saw in the storm suffering that way after 2 years of suffering. But one thing that I will say, Palestinians have showed us what humanity is. During all this time, we never saw them turning on each other. They helped each other. The journalists, no matter how much Israel threatened them, they would still go out there and report and show the world what was happening to their people. They helped each other. One person would pass the other person in the tent next to them a piece of bread. And if that's not humanity, I don't know what is. But if you still encounter people who will try to tell you that it's not a genocide, don't even waste your time talking to them at this point, honestly, okay? Because we've had doctors who came back and told us that the IDF was practicing on little boys, shooting them in the head one day, in the testicles the next, in the stomach the next, for fun. Even the Israeli general said, our soldiers are killing kids for fun, okay? So if they try to get you with the anti-Semitic, no, an Israeli general himself said, our soldiers are killing kids for fun. We have to free Palestine. We cannot let up. Just because there is a ceasefire, it doesn't mean this has ended. If anything, this is the most crucial time. Because the only reason they did the ceasefire is because they saw how bad it was getting in the public and how much support they were losing. And you heard Trump say, oh, people like Israel again. No, we don't. No, we don't. As much as you guys say never forget the Holocaust, we will never forget Gaza.